Hey everyone out there, welcome back to another episode of Uncensored Solar TV, brought to you by the amazing folks here at Solar Wolf Energy. And I have some groundbreaking news for you guys today. I have a special guest with me today. I'm speaking to Veeral Hardev, the business development agent and member over at Ubiquitous Energy. And what I want to talk to you guys today about is their breakthrough technology that could possibly change the entire solar and renewable energy space altogether. I'm really excited to bring this to you guys, and what we've been discussing over the last few days is pretty amazing, and I had to share it with you guys. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce all of our followers in the world to Veeral. Welcome.
Thank you, Ted. It's really great to be here with you today.
Thanks for joining us. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I wanna basically expose what it is you guys have been doing here, bring it to light, because I don't think you guys are going to get enough press. I think you could get enough press every day forever and it still wouldn't be enough, right? So if you want to just go ahead and take us through the early stages of what it was like, Ubiquitous Energy, and kind of like how the company got started.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Yeah, so essentially the genesis of Ubiquitous Energy really comes from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, I think pretty close to where you guys are up in Massachusetts. So,
Yep.
Our founders came from there. And at the time, they were studying ways to essentially figure out ways to make, like a lot of people, how to make solar, lightweight, flexible, cheaper. And they kind of came across this concept of being able to kind of tune the parts of the spectrum that solar devices absorb. And so they called it selective absorption. And so they kind of figured out that, hey, if we're able to make solar devices that only absorb certain light parts of the light energy, we can actually tune them and to give them kind of different looks. And so they came across this concept and they said, well, what if we didn't actually absorb any visible light and let all of that transmit through or pass through? We can make something that's kind of like an invisible coating that will still absorb the non-visible parts of the spectrum, light energy that we kind of commonly known as, ultraviolet and infrared, and still generate useful power and energy, but it looks transparent because we're not absorbing any of that visible light. So that's essentially how the concept came about. And we've been in business ever since. So yeah.
So that's it. You guys just got bored one day and just made some breakthrough technology that, okay, yeah, that sounds so easy,
Yeah.
I mean, why didn't we think of that, right? Oh my goodness. All right, so you got some pretty impressive folks in your team, you as well. What you guys are doing. It sounds like all in all, that you guys have not just a great invention, or if you will, but where you guys are taking this, which kind of brings me to my next question. So where is it you guys see this being applied? Is it residential real estate, commercial real estate? Is it something else?
Yeah, really good question. We kind of think, quite honestly, no pun intended, we think ubiquitous energy as being energy everywhere, right? So we really see the applicability of our technology being almost everywhere we can think of that sunlight hits. And so if you peel that back, right, I mean, we're not going to be able to do everything we want to do all at once. So we're kind of taking a kind of focused and targeted approach. And, the first place we want to start is with windows. And so if you think about windows, whether they're in your home or your apartment, or whether in your office building or a skyscraper, everybody has windows and they use windows to kind of see through and see in and out. And so our idea is, why not make the windows better? Why not actually turn the windows into solar panels? And so with our technology, we feel that's possible. And so that's where we're looking to go first. But then, beyond that, we want to apply this to things like greenhouses, automotive cars, right, to have more power to the car, especially as we go down, electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles. But beyond that, even portable devices that have a display, think about your tablet or your phone.
Right.
What if you could actually put it out in the sun and it would just start generating its own power and recharging itself? I mean, that's pretty cool.
I love that you guys are so out of the box. You're like in a different atmosphere, and it's just, I think with the amazing innovations that are coming, I think you need to be like that far removed from the norm, from the box, right? And it seems like you guys are definitely living in a different place, and I love how that's where the innovation is coming from, right? Because I think it's pretty common where you have somebody or a group of folks that create something, and then they kind of just rest on that, like, well, we've done this and that's probably enough, and we'll wait for the VCs to come to us. And whereas, you guys are trying to not just Windows, but like, what if we did your phone and all this others. That's a really, really good point. I'm excited. I'm a huge fan already, and I'm excited to see what you guys can do with this, because it seems like it would be almost unlimited, the potential for this.
Yeah, we think so, and it's something that we think is, I'm sure we'll address this at some point, but we think there's so many nice synergies and fits with traditional solar, with helping, with our what I think is a global energy crisis, climate change, so many things that we just see our technology as being kind of a piece to that overall giant puzzle.
Excellent. So I have to ask, proof of concept. Do you guys have any that are working prototypes, or anything in the real world where people can see, or do you guys have anything in house that is fully operational for you?
Yeah, really good question. Of course we do, right? I mean, I wouldn't be here with you today. I mean, I guess I could be and show you a little thing. Unfortunately, because of the environment we're in right now with COVID-19, all of our team is working remotely, so I'm actually not in the office. But if I was there,
You mean your
and I
office?
encourage,
You mean your office doesn't have this view?
yeah, I'm actually not on the top of the Golden Gate Bridge, even though it might appear that way. Yeah, no. So we actually have installed about 100 square feet of windows at our facility here in California, and it's a pretty nice installation. And I encourage everyone to either visit our website, and you can get some videos and some footage and some images of what this actually looks like. So what we essentially did was we took windows that were in one of our conference rooms and took them out and replaced them with new windows, our windows that are, transparent solar windows. And essentially it's installed, it's working, and we have it hooked up to a very simple system just to show what this is capable of. So from the outside, it looks like, traditional normal windows, you can see in and out and everything like that. It's transparent. But what the windows are actually doing is they're actually working, right? So they're actually absorbing that sunlight, converting it into useful electricity, just like solar does. And we've connected all of that to a very simple battery that we have in the corner of the conference room. And that battery is getting constantly charged by the windows, by the light energy that's coming to the windows that's being generated into useful electricity. That power then is directly driving all of the overhead lighting that's in that conference room, all of the LED lights. So essentially, our windows are powering all of our lights that's in that room.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, it works. That's that's the short answer. It definitely, that's phenomenal. So 100 square feet can power a conference room. That's okay. And 100 square feet of window space isn't very much real estate. When you start thinking about glass skyscrapers, that is an enormous potential. Obviously, we're probably months or years out from that. Obviously a lot of field testing, but if you could look at some of these skyscrapers in some of the big cities where they're just basically large sheets of glass, if they could have that technology, I mean, it might be able to power the building or several floors, but making it almost a net zero in energy transformation, that would be impressive. That's really huge. You guys would be excited.
Exactly. We've done a lot of simulation case studies with architects, designers, the people that do this kind of work for a living in terms of building these large skyscrapers, and we've kind of shown that you could, with our technology, offset as much as up to 30% of the building's overall energy use. So to your point, we can directly help buildings get to net zero, and even beyond. I think even getting to positive energy producing buildings is definitely achievable.
So when you look at that, the Apple building, how it looks like that giant space shuttle. So if you take and you fill the roof with traditional panels, and then obviously all the vertical is just all the glazing for that could be that's just incredible.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Wow. All right. So I got to ask, I know we talked about what came from MIT and whatnot, but I got to ask, so this was almost like an accidental discovery? Or you guys just sat around one day and thought, hey, let's push the boundaries, right? So I got to know, like, how did this come specifically into, we think we found something, or let's try this?
Yeah, no, exactly. It was all around, like I said, trying to create something that was literally solar that was more lightweight and more flexible. And at the time, the research project was really around essentially, if you remember newspapers, trying to create a solar panel that's a newspaper that's that thin, that flexible. You could roll it up, do all that kind of stuff with it. And they were really looking at the way of the semiconductor device physics of how a solar device works.
Hmm.
And they kind of came across this concept of, well, what if we change how the light energy is transferred and what's absorbed? And once they started doing that, then they kind of understood that, like, well, this is where you get the most energy potential. But what if you actually, move this over here and did this? Then you could actually start tuning this and you could create something that's transparent. And that's when it's like, aha, I think we're onto something much more than just making a newspaper solar panel. We can actually make an invisible solar panel.
Yeah. So I got to ask, what's the feedback been like for this?
Oh, tremendous, right? I mean, just like yourselves, right? I mean, when we get people this concept and we explain it to them, sometimes they're like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But when you see it in person, I mean, there hasn't been a single person I've shown this to. And now I look for people's facial reaction, right? Whether it's political leaders, executives of big companies that come by, local politicians, whoever it may be. You just see their face light up when you kind of see that, hey, this looks like a window. Oh, but check this out. It's actually powering this. And they're like, that's impossible. How does this work? And you got to really show them, like, look, there's a wire coming out of the window and it's hooked up to either this light or this voltmeter or multimeter, and it's actually generating power. And so, yeah, it's always awesome to show people.
So you guys just must just love the reactions, and that's how you know you have something super super special because people's faces don't lie. I mean, I think their words may, but their reactions tell the truth. And I can't wait to see something like this out here, and just being able to see it and knowing that that's what's really keeping lights on right now. That
Yeah,
window.
exactly.
And when you say their potential for something like this, and you think, geez, I might be able to power all the lights or the water heater or my air conditioning system or something just from windows, which you have to have anyway. I mean, the long and the short is with obviously R&D. If we're looking further out, obviously the more efficient we can make this, eventually there may be almost zero need for solar panels if you can get it that efficient.
We don't think of it that way. We kind of think of it being like a complementary technology to traditional solar. If you think about the way that our technology works, we're essentially making a little bit of a trade-off, right? We're trading off a little bit of power conversion so that it could be transparent.
Transparency,
And
right.
and so our belief is that wherever you can put traditional solar, you should put it because it's going to be the most efficient and most effective. But if you want to put it in places where you actually want to be able to see it, see through it, have people look at it, you want it to be aesthetically pleasing and frankly invisible, then that's a really good fit for our technology. So if you kind of think about, your standard home or your standard apartment building, yeah, you should definitely put solar on the roof or in places where it's going to, be most effective.
Sure.
But places where you have windows, why wouldn't you want to have your windows generate power if you have no other trade-off from
Right.
other than having traditional windows?
And just real quick thinking is everybody's trying to be the first to make a car with the roof being a solar panel and making that alone just enough. But I think in conjunction using that with your technology, that may be able to get us across the line, so to speak, where between those two things combined may be enough to truly power and charge an automobile. That is exciting tech.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of people from the automotive world, from all industries, right, contact us and have discussions, and including some of our founding team and who are guys who are professors now. And so we've always said that, like, look, to make a car truly autonomous and self-producing power, a lot of advances have to be made, right? A lot of advancements in automotive and just in terms of battery storage and things like that. But you're right. If you think about putting solar on all pieces of the car, I mean, think about it. Think about solar on your roof. Think about solar on your windows. Think about the body of the car actually being painted with, solar ink to some degree.
Right.
Now you have so much surface area because, as you guys know, the game to solar is just surface area, right? The more surface area you have, the more power you can generate. That's why when we think about our technology, heck, if we can cover a skyscraper, that's so much surface area compared to what's actually available on the roof. I mean, it's it's hard to even just imagine. A lot of people just have trouble thinking about how much power that could be. But
Right.
we could really, yeah, we could really power things like cars. I mean, as we look into the future, smart homes, smart cities, these are all things that can need as much power as they can get. And the key is you want power where the people are, right? So for a skyscraper, you know, the however matter tall it is or how big it is, it would be great if the power was used and generated on site, as opposed to off from somewhere and it's got to get distributed in and distributed back out. And so we see this technology again as being a piece of the puzzle to helping us overall with this energy kind of, again, crisis, I call it, because our electrical grid, right, needs to be updated. It wasn't built on renewable energy, it's built on fossil fuels, which is a big challenge, but that's not something we're going to solve. But we think that with technologies like ours, we can make the overall grid essentially more resilient, right? And we think that's adds a lot of benefit to not only security, but ability to avoid, blackouts, all this kind of stuff, right? And so, again, we think of it as a small piece to the puzzle, but we have a big puzzle to solve as a society. So, we're trying to do our part.
And I think there's something else where, if you can have several buildings, several skyscrapers essentially encased in this, where instead of having to, as the population increases and as more construction goes on, utilizing something like what you guys have developed would essentially take some of the tax or stress off of the current grid, where they're always worried if you're going to develop more and more housing, more and more commercial properties where, we have to power that also. I think a lot of people don't think of that when they're going to put in an 80-unit subdivision in their city or whatever, the neighborhood, or they're going to build another industrial park where a lot of buildings are going to be built. I think people tend to forget. I think they tend to forget the sewer demand, the water demand, utilities, right? And the electrical grid. And everybody just assumes, oh yeah, we'll just go ahead and add a line to the house or to the property, to the building, and we'll be good. And I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration. And eventually, we're going to be told, there's some major upgrades that need to be happening or something along those lines in order for you to power your building. So this could seriously help. I would tend to think the utility company is going to welcome you guys for that reason alone, if anything, really.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's a really great point. A lot of people, you're right, don't think about that. I mean, and on the flip side of it is also, which a lot of focus now is going toward, which I'm happy to see in the industry in general, is around energy storage, right? Kind of famously, as you know, especially in California, we have this famous thing called the duck curve, right? We're producing so much renewable energy during times of the day where utility companies are almost literally paying people to start using energy, which it shouldn't be that way, right? We should be able to store all of that energy and use it at a later time, so costs overall come down, right? I mean, so we got to do this in a way that's smart and it's economical, right? And so that's exactly right.
Perfect. So with that whole thing and energy storage and whatnot, what's how has I can't not ask this, and I feel like it's almost being asked too much, but how has the COVID-19 thing really affected Ubiquitous?
Yeah. I mean, it's we're like a lot of people in a way that it's impacted us pretty significantly, but we're also pretty fortunate for given just our team and who we are and where we are located. And so fortunately, we haven't had to, reduce any of our staff, haven't had to furlough anybody, and we haven't, and which is really nice because we literally have not been at our facility for the last 2 months. So everybody's been working remotely, but what that really means from a physical production standpoint, we're not able to physically produce the windows like we were producing before that. And so it's definitely delayed us from that standpoint, but we've done a lot of internal kind of development around the simulation, experimental work. A lot of the stuff that we've actually set up our facility is fairly semi-automatically controlled. And so we can run it remotely without people there. But at some point, somebody's got to go in and do some maintenance, take some things out, change it. And so that's halted us a little bit. But it's we always look for the silver lining in things. And so we think this has been a silver lining that we've been able to actually take a step back, take a breath, and really focus in on what things we need to do to be successful as a business and what things we can do to kind of help society at large, right? Because behind our technology are passionate founders and people, and we feel like we're onto something and we're doing something. And so we're really motivated to keep going. But it's impacted us just like almost everybody else. Again, we're lucky that we're in a financial position that we are in, that we can afford to do these kind of things. We have really strong investors who support us and back us. And so, we're going to get through it just like the rest of the world is going to get through it. And, we're starting to see signs that it's going to return soon. Some of the local mandates here are starting to get lifted a little bit. And so, we're very confident and eager to get back to work, but at the same time, safety and health is of our utmost importance, not only for our employees, their families, and our community at large. So, we're going to be do as best as we can.
So in closing, I'll wrap this up. My final question, and I think it's obviously where I'm going to ask you this, but what's next for Ubiquitous? You guys have anything else you're working on, that's separate from this, but or is it more of a marketing and trying to push this out there, or just increase whatever you have?
Yeah, really good question. I mean, I think there's a lot that's next for us, right? I mean, we started with our first installation at our facility. We want to do a lot more of those. We were right in the middle about doing a few of them actually, right when the COVID-19 outbreak hit. So all of that activity kind of went on halt. And, since we're working with partners and customers that we're not the dictator, right? So we got to work together with them coming out of this to, again, do what's reasonable. When can we get that to happen? But beyond that, it's going to be, getting really to, demonstrations of, what could you do? I'll leave you maybe with this. What could you do if your window could generate power? And so those are the kind of things we're thinking about, like, hey, these are some cool things we can do with that. For a commercial building, what could you do? And so, those are the things we're starting to think about. And then, eventually we are in the design phases of building our first full-scale manufacturing line as well. And so that's what's really gotten our team really excited, because once we get that up and running, we'll be able to produce windows to the market and they'll be available. I mean, we understand that's going to take a couple of years, but that work that's happening now is really critical to making sure that happens within the next couple of years, because if it doesn't happen now, it'll keep getting pushed out. And we want it to happen sooner. Our investors want it to happen sooner. I think society as a whole wants it to happen sooner. So we're trying to go as fast as we can, but being, rational, reasonable, well thought out about it.
That's excellent. Excellent. I am excited. I am absolutely going to be a cheerleader on the sidelines for you guys the next time I'm out west. I was out there in February. The next time I head out there, I'm definitely going to call ahead and see if I can stop in and see this. This is impressive.
Please do.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Veeral. I really appreciate the time today. Stay safe as always, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do out there. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ted, and likewise, best to you and your family and your employees and the local community. Everybody stay safe, and we'll get through this together.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right. Take care.
So there you have it, folks. There it is, the Ubiquitous Energy doing a side-by-side for us here, kind of divulging their information, pulling back the layers a little bit, and kind of going over the whole process, where it began, where it is, and where it's going. I'm excited. I'm crazy excited about this one thing, because there's so much in solar that we always see that everybody's just trying to inch it along and push whatever the guy previous did to him just a little bit further to get their name out there. These guys have said enough of that. Let's completely change the entire industry. I'm a huge fan of those who try to really, really, really push things around, shake things up, and come out with something different. So I think everybody needs to keep their eyes focused and their ears open when it comes to Ubiquitous Energy. I'm really looking forward to it. On behalf of all of my team here at Solar Wolf Energy, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and let us know who you'd like to see on our next episode. Thank you.